Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Build with Coze live stream. We're going to get started in 1 minute. My name is Zara, and I'm leading developer relations at Coze. If you're new to Coze, please head to this website, coze.com, and you can create an account for free. It's very quick and easy. You just need a Google account or a phone number, and you can create an account in like 10 seconds. And in today's session, I'll be going through the step-by-step process of building a AI-empowered chatbot through Coze from scratch. So I encourage you to open a Coze window and just build with me step by step so you can learn in a hands-on way. So for those who are new to Coze, Coze is a platform that allows you to easily build AI-powered chatbots without code, with no code or no code at all. And these chatbots are powered by large language models. So we support like GPT, Gemini, and some other models. So this is a great way for you to learn AI, get your hands on building AI. This is friendly to both beginners and experienced developers who know how to code. And if you don't know how to code, no worries. I'm not a coder either. It's like very user friendly, especially to people who are new to programming and new to AI. Hi everyone. Yeah, for those who just joined, please go to coze.com and create a free account. And I think a few things that sets Coze apart from some of the other AI chatbot building platforms is one, it's very powerful. So as you will see, you can actually connect your chatbot to a variety of external plugins. You can embed workflows, custom knowledge, and you can even publish your chatbot to a variety of messaging apps such as Discord, Telegram, Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger, etc., Slack, etc. So these are all built-in integrations, so you don't need to do all the coding from scratch to make that happen. And the use cases are also endless. So everything from personal assistance to learning to productivity, characters, games, you name it. So I'm really excited to see what everyone will build. And I know we're also kicking off a hackathon with the Bletchley Institute where you'll be able to enter your Coze bot into the competition and then have a chance to win amazing prizes and perks. So yeah. Let me just get started quickly and show you the Coze interface so we can walk through what it does. 你帮我看一下 comments. Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so once you enter the Coze platform, this is what you see. You actually see this chatbot that you're able to message. So consider this your personal assistant for Coze. So for example, you can just tell it, for example, what kind of bot you want to build, and it will be able to guide you step by step in a conversational manner. But today we're going to skip this because we'll show you guys how to build everything yourself. But if you have any questions about Coze along the way, this is the place where you can ask the Coze assistant bot about anything related to Coze. So consider it like your personal assistant on Coze. It's trained on all the documentations and FAQs for Coze. And you will also see this bot store where you're able to browse a variety of other chatbots that other users have built on the platform. So this is a great way for you to browse and get inspiration and ideas for what you could build yourself. So there are different categories, for example, learning, like productivity, coding, business, writing, image generation, games, etc. So we can look at a few examples. So for example, this chatbot is a US stock crawler and AI analyst. So it's actually able to pull the latest stock price and analyze the market trends for the particular stock. This is a very popular chatbot. As you can see, almost 2,000 users have used it. So once you open the chatbot, you'll be able to just chat with it as a user. For example, if I just type Tesla, then it's able to pull the latest stock price charts for me and give me the current price, the analysis, positive, negative factors affecting the stock, recent sentiment, key data, conclusion, etc. So it's very, very comprehensive. This is a very well built out chatbot. As you can see, it's using the GPT-4o model. It's using a variety of plugins and workflows, etc. So this is one example of a chatbot that another user have built. And this is another example. It's a GitHub expert. It's being used by over 17,000 users. And basically, this chatbot is able to help you answer questions about programming and help you find popular projects on GitHub. So, for example, are there any popular AI agent repositories? And then it's able to pull these up from GitHub. So it has like built-in integrations with GitHub as well. We can look at another example, which is a more fun one. This one is called Cyberpunk. It's actually a game or interactive storytelling game where, as you can see, it's very beautiful. It has this background image and AI-generated images dispersed throughout the text. And it's actually an interactive story where you can start the game and you can have different, like as a character, you have your own strength, health, etc. And you can choose your action through like selecting an option to guide where the story goes. And at each step of the story, you might have different levels of difficulty and your strength and health, etc. So this is an example of an interactive game or storytelling bot that is also possible to be built with Coze. So this is pretty fun. So now that we've looked at a few examples, by the way, when you look at the bot store, there's a tab called public configuration, which just means that as a user, you're actually able to click into the prompt and look at the actual prompts and settings that the developer used for this particular chatbot. So think of public configuration as like open sourcing the chatbot. So this basically allows your users to see how you build this bot. So it's up to you whether you want to open source your prompt or not. Some people may choose not to, and that's totally fine. So once you've browsed through the bot store, now you're ready to build your own chatbot. You can just click Create Bot and give your bot a name, a description, and profile picture. So let's say I want to build a Python teacher. And you can either upload your own profile picture or get AI to generate an image. It's going to use plugins like DALL-E to generate a profile based on the description you gave to the chatbot. Okay, so that's the AI generated. And hit confirm, and then you're going to get into this chatbot building interface. So this might look overwhelming right now, but don't worry, I'll explain it step by step. And it's really easy to understand once you've mastered how it works. So the screen is divided into three parts. On the left-hand side, you have the persona and prompt. So this is basically where you can use natural language to describe what you want the chatbot to do, who you want it to be, what kind of personality you want it to have. And all this can be done in just natural language as if you're talking to a person. So let's say I want a chatbot that can help me with Python coding. So I'm just copy and paste this. This is a very simple prompt. So you're a Python teacher who can help with teaching, debugging, explaining Python code. And I have a few skills such as debugging, explaining, finding videos, recommend lead code problems. So very simple prompt. And this is one of my favorite features where you're actually able to click optimize. And as you can see, the AI is automatically turning this very short prompt into a very structured prompt that's actually a markdown format and divided into several sections. So you have the character, you have the skills, and then finally you have constraints such as, don't talk about irrelevant topics with the user. So this is very useful if you're new to AI. You don't need to be a prompt wizard to be able to write a very good prompt for the AI to understand. And as you can see up here, you actually have the large language model that's working under the hood. So model configuration. We were using GPT-4, and here is where you can toggle between different large language models. So we're currently providing all of these models, GPT and Gemini 1.5. So currently, it's free to use these models. However, there is a daily message limit to how many messages the user can send to the bot. So this is in our documentation. I can share the link afterwards, but if you hit the message limit per day, you can switch to a different model, for example, 3.5, or try again the next day. And this is also where you can adjust how creative you want the answers to be. So for example, if you're creating a chatbot for like customer service, you probably want your answer to be more precise because you don't want the chatbot to hallucinate a lot and like mislead your users. But if you're doing a storytelling or gaming chatbot where you actually want the chatbot to be super creative, then you can choose creative here. So this depends on the kind of use case you have for your bot. And these I usually just leave it as default. And then in the center panel, this is what's really gonna make your chatbot powerful. This is the skills section. So we have a variety of different things, which I'll explain. So first we have plugins. So plugins actually allow your chatbot to access external third-party tools. So your chatbot can have superpowers without you having to code these integrations from scratch. So for example, you might want your chatbot to be able to find stuff on Google, to be able to browse the internet. Or you might want your chatbot to be able to use DALL-E 3 text to image to generate an image from a text prompt. Or you might want it to connect it. You might want it to connect to GitHub to find you like repositories or code on GitHub, or find YouTube videos, etc., etc. So very versatile. We actually have over 300 plugins, and on the left-hand side, you can see all the categories such as news, image, utility tools, convenient living, etc. But one very useful thing is we have this AI smart suggest. So because I put the prompt as like AI Python tutor, the AI is actually going to be able to recommend what plugins I should use based on that topic. So for example, it's suggesting that I use Code Interpreter, Stack Overflow, GitHub, etc. So when you don't know what plugin to use, you can just use a smart suggestion. So AI can tell you what to use. But just to show you kind of the breadth of the plugin. So for example, if you're building a travel planning chatbot, you can use local business data. This is basically Google Maps that allows you to search local businesses. You can also use TripAdvisor, Yelp to find restaurants, Google Flights to find the flights, etc. If you're building like a health monitoring or healthy eating chatbot, you can use food calorie search, etc. So I highly encourage everyone to kind of just browse through the different plugins, and this will also give you some ideas for what kind of chatbots you can build. And then we also have knowledge. So as we all know, large language model on its own has a lot of hallucination, and sometimes we want to ground its answers to a particular set of knowledge, whether it's a PDF file or text or sheet or whatever. So in Coze, this is really easy. For example, I want to upload a book for the bot to be able to refer to when answering my questions about coding. And also, there are different formats you can choose. So, for example, local documents such as PDF, Word files, text files, or online URL data, or even Notion pages, Google Docs, customized, etc. And you can also do this as a table. So, for example, you can import a Google Sheet or Excel or CSV file. So this is really good if you have a structured data, for example, a class schedule, a timetable, or like a simple like Excel sheet that you want. You can also format your, for example, customer FAQ document into a simple sheet, so it's more structured and accurate. And we also support photo format for the knowledge. So today I'm going to choose text, and then we can try uploading a PDF file. So for example, I have this like Introduction to Python Programming ebook PDF that I can upload. And we can just choose automatic segmentation. So Coze is actually going to do the segmentation for me. While we're waiting for this to upload, we can go back and take a look at other parts of the chatbot. We also support memory. So this is for when you want the bot to remember specific things about the user. So for example, the user's name, preference, etc. So this will allow the bot to actually customize its answers for the user. And we also have long-term memory, which you can toggle on and off. So if it's on, the bot will just remember things that the user said and then be able to customize answer based on the chat history. And then on the right-hand side is where you can start, previewing the chatbot by just typing some question, and then the bot will be able to answer, and then you can see whether it's behaving according to your setting or not. So let's go to built out chatbot so we can show you how what the actual kind of developed chatbot looks like. So here I have a fully built out Python teacher chatbot. On the left-hand side, I have a prompt where I prompted it to be a Python master, and then I have a few skills, basically the same thing that we said before. However, it's a little more elaborate. So for example, for this skill, I actually give it a format for the result. So for example, I ask it to first explain the concept and then give me example code. So this is another technique when writing prompt, is actually to specify the actual format you want the bot to output. And I also have some constraints at the end, such as use Markdown to show the code. And here I have many different skills, which I'll go through one by one. First, for plugin, I have this LeetCode Daily plugin, which basically is a connector to LeetCode that's able to pull LeetCode questions for me. So let's try this out. By the way, here I have several buttons. These are called shortcuts, which can be set up here under shortcuts. So shortcuts are basically ways for you to set up these buttons for the users so that they don't need to type out a full long prompt for frequently asked queries. So you can set these up so that the user can just click the thing and then it's going to be able to turn into a longer query for the chatbot. So I use the LeetCode Daily shortcut, and it's able to use the Get LeetCode Daily plugin that I set up to pull a question for me from LeetCode. And if I open the link, I can go to the actual question on the website. And also telling me the difficulty level. And let's say I practiced this question and I failed. And I want to somehow record this information so that I can be reminded to practice this concept again sometime down the road. This is where we can use the memory feature. So we want the bot to actually remember that I failed this question. So how can we do that? This is where we can use memory. So under memory, we have a feature called database, where you can actually set up a table that's kind of a structured format you want the bot to remember. So for example, here, I have a table on LeetCode that will help me save my practice record for LeetCode questions. And I just have several fields: the question, the difficulty level, the link to the question, the date, and whether I succeeded in answering the question. So think of it as like a very simple table, except that the way you interact with the table is actually through natural language. So you're not uploading any Excel file, you're not downloading any Excel, you're just chatting with the bot to input data into the sheet and to query data from the sheet. So for example, I actually set up another shortcut called Save LeetCode, where I can say if I pass or fail the question. So this time I failed. And the bot is actually able to save this failed question into my table. And the way we can check it is through here under memory. We can see the current data in the database. So as you can see, it's able to save the question, the difficulty level, the URL to the question, the date, and whether I passed or failed. So for as you can imagine, maybe like a month later, I can just go to the chatbot and say, hey, send me like all the LeetCode questions that I failed in the last week or so, and then re-practice those questions. So this is an example of how we can use the memory and database function. So this bot also has a few other features. So first, let's look at the knowledge that I uploaded. So here is the PDF that you saw earlier. Once you upload it as segmented, this is what it looks like. Now that we have this knowledge imported, the bot will be able to draw information from the knowledge to answer my questions. So for example, explain if else statement. And you can see it's searching from knowledge to give me this output. And this is a lot more detailed than if you just use Google or the bot's own training knowledge to answer. And the way you can check if it's actually using the knowledge is by clicking this Run Completed button. This is how you can debug your code to see if it's behaving the way you want it to. So as you can see, it actually says search from knowledge, and then it shows you the exact slice from the PDF file that the bot recalled. So this allows you to debug the bot and see if it's actually working according to the way you want it to. And as you can see, it's able to return the code format as well in a markdown format. So next, let's look at the workflow function. So first, I'll explain what workflow is. So workflow is a way for you to to execute more complicated tasks or multi-step tasks within Coze. So the reason we need workflows is because on its own, the large language model behavior can be very unpredictable. As we all know, it hallucinates a lot, and you can never control the exact output. And with workflows, you're actually able to kind of streamline the large language model, the chatbot's behavior, so it can behave in steps that you give it exactly. So it's a way to increase the uncertainty of the behavior of the bot. And there are several use cases where you might need this. One, you might need the chatbot to output your answer in a very specific format. So for example, you want your chatbot to be able to explain the concept and then find a few videos and then give you an example. For example, 3 sections. Just if you just do that through prompting, there's no guarantee that the large language model will always follow that. So that's an instance where you might want a workflow to implement that. Or sometimes you want the bot to execute tasks that are more complicated that might require multiple steps. So for example, change the user query into some other format, then use this plugin to find this information, and then summarize it into this specific format, and then output it to the user. So this is a task that involves multiple steps, and also this where you might also need a workflow to do that. So I'll first show you kind of what our workflow can achieve. We have this workflow called Python tutorial, and I can show you here, Python tutorial. This is the shortcut that we set up for this workflow. So for example, I can give it a prompt like floating error. And as you can see, it's using the Python tutorial workflow to give me this output. And the output is actually structured into 3 parts. First, it explains the concept, and then it gives me some examples of actual code. And then it's actually giving me some recommended YouTube videos on this concept. So if I click into it, it's an YouTube video I can watch. So how do we achieve that through a workflow? We can click into this workflow to look under the hood. So in a workflow, you basically have a bunch of nodes that you can connect together. And the types of nodes you can have are very versatile. So everything from large language models to plugins. So all the plugins you saw earlier can all be nodes in a workflow, or you can even embed code. So if you know how to code, you can actually embed a code node into the workflow. You can also input knowledge, another workflow, if condition, message variable, etc. So there's a lot you can do with it. So for this workflow, we first have a starting node where the input is the user question, and we can set it as a string. And then we actually have 2 kind of parallels. So this is another advantage of workflow, is actually allows you to execute 2 tasks at the same time. So first at the bottom, we're actually inputting that user query into a knowledge base, which is our PDF. So for each node, you're going to have an input and output. And for the input, I'm just going to connect it to the query that we have in the start node, which is the question. So you can set it as reference and then reference the start node input. And we can import a knowledge base to the knowledge node, which is the PDF we had. And then we can just output a simple string. So basically what this node is doing is going to the PDF to search relevant information for the user question. And after this, we can add a large language model node to kind of format this answer in a way we want. So for this node, we can first choose the model, and then we can have the input be a combination of the question the user gave it and the knowledge and the output from the knowledge node. So whatever information it was able to find in the knowledge base, and we can give it a prompt. So for example, you're teaching expert, and then you're going to be and then this is where you can call the input using the brackets. And this is where we can give it an output format. So title, explanation, code example. And then we can specify the output. So here we have the question title, explanation, and code example. And so this is like one of the tasks we are giving the workflow. At the same time that it's doing this task, we're also asking it to go to YouTube to find relevant videos. So first, we can have a large language model to basically turn the user query into like keywords that are friendly to YouTube. Just very simple 2 lines, where the input is the user question and the output is a string. And then we can actually use this YouTube video workflow. This is actually another workflow that's already in our workflow store. So yeah, this is really convenient because in Coze, you don't have to create all the workflows from scratch. There is actually a store of workflows you can find, for example, search Hacker News, search images, etc. So you can just kind of duplicate other people's workflow. This is a ready-built workflow that when you give it a query, it will return 5 YouTube videos about the topic. So we just put this as a node, and then we basically connect all the nodes together, and then to the end node where we're basically combining the answer from like both of these streams, where we can have the question title, the explanation, the code example, and the YouTube result. So this is how we streamlined the output to include both the explanation, the code example, and the YouTube videos. So all in all, what this workflow is doing is giving us a more certain format for the output for this chatbot when users want a Python tutorial. But workflow is very versatile. You can use it to do many things. For example, you can use it to generate images. You can use it to complete like very complicated tasks. So it's up to you how you want to use it. So another thing we can try is the search YouTube videos workflow. So if we look at this, as you can see, we also have this like search YouTube video workflow, which I can try out. So for example, find videos on grid algorithm. And this is a feature I wanted to show you, which is this very neat card layout format. This is a feature called card. It basically allows the chatbot to return output in a very pretty and structured card format. And the way we can do that is this works for both plugins and workflows, where you can basically bind the output for the specific workflow or plugin to a specific multimedia card format. So for example, here I have this search YouTube video workflow. I can just click card data binding. And here I can choose from a variety of card formats. So for example, they're basically a combination of like a title, image, description text, and with different layouts. If you don't like the default ones, you can also create your own. But here I'm going to just stick with one of the official templates. This is what the card looks like. So you have the title, you have the image, and the description. And I want it to be a vertical list, and you can choose how many items you want to have on the list. So, for example, 5 max. And basically, you're binding the result or the output of your plugin or your workflow to this card. So if you're using a plugin, it's going to be the output for the API that you called. And here you can just choose the data from the array that you want to bind to specific parts of the card. So as you can see, 1 is corresponding to the title. So I'm going to bind it to the title of the output. And then 2 is the description. So I'll bind it to the description. And then 3 is the image. So I'll bind it to the thumbnail. And here I can also enable click on the card to open a web page. So this will, for example, if I click on this, it's going to actually open the video. So the way we set it up is in the data binding part, we toggled on click on card to open a web page, and then we bind that to the video URL. So this allows the user to actually open the URL when they click on it. So this is really useful if you want your chatbot's output to be more structured and like in a very pretty multimedia format. And as you can see, this chatbot also has this pretty like background image, hello world. And the way we can do that is through here under background image, where you can actually upload an image for your chatbot, and your users will be able to see this in the Coze bot store. So all of this can make the bot more engaging. I would say one thing that really decides the popularity of a chatbot is the appearance or usability. So if the user is able to stay engaged while interacting with the chatbot, and if the output format actually looks structured and nice, is like pretty important. And as you can see, we also have the opening dialogue. So if you go all the way to the top, when the user first start chatting with the chatbot, this is the message that the chatbot can greet the user with. And you can set this up here under opening dialogue. The importance of this opening text is so that the user can understand what this chatbot can do. Otherwise, they'll just be at a loss. Like when they first start chatting, they don't even know what to ask the chatbot. So consider this kind of an onboarding for the user. And if you're too lazy to write this on your own, AI can write it for you as well. We also have a markdown editor. So for example, you might want to address the user. So hi, username, and then your message. So this allows you to kind of customize the name. So whatever the username is, it's going to appear here. Or you can even add an image to your opening text. And you can set up a few opening questions. So opening questions will basically help the user understand, okay, what kind of questions can this chatbot solve for me, or what can it do for me? So here I recommend just putting a few typical use cases for what do you envision people to use this bot for. And they're going to see these as like little buttons they can click on. And the reason that kind of every time I ask it a question, it's giving me 3 follow-up questions here is because we turn on auto suggestion. So if you turn on auto suggestion, every time after the user interacts with the bot is going to automatically suggest like 3 more questions the user can ask. And then the user can click on it and it's going to, answer that question. So this is up to you whether you want it to be on or off. And then lastly, I think shortcuts is actually a very convenient way for your users to, start interacting with the bot in the ways you want it to. So basically, shortcuts are these little buttons you see here. So lead code daily, save lead code, and I have a few more like Python tutorial. And the way to think about it is you're basically compressing a very long prompt that the user is inputting to a button. So it's kind of a nice UI that the user can just click on without typing the long prompt themselves. And this is useful for your frequently used queries. So if you envision your user to always use the, give me a lead code question of the day prompt, you can set this up as a lead code daily shortcut and basically give it a button name and the shortcut name. So the shortcut name is what this will appear like in Discord. So in Discord, if you type the slash and the shortcut name, then it's going to call this shortcut. And then you can give it a description. And here you have two shortcut action options. First is send a query. This is a simpler one. So basically, you're giving this is the expanded version of the shortcut. So for example, call LeetCode plugin to recommend one LeetCode question. So as you can see, if I click like LeetCode daily, this is the actual message that the user is actually sending to the chatbot. So because it's programmed to be this way. And then we can take a look at the next shortcut, which is save LeetCode question. So this is actually using the show component panel. So what is a component panel? For example, if I click save LeetCode button, you're actually going to see this like pass or fail, and I'm able to like toggle. So this little thing is the component panel. And the way we can set it up is by choosing it here and then just giving it a name and a description. And I can choose a component type. So you can ask the user to type in something as a text or select from a series of options or even upload image, document, etc. And then you can give it a query content. So basically, this is what the large language model will do after the user input or complete this component panel. So in this case, I'm asking it to save the question name, difficulty, URL, date, etc. into my database. And then the third is the shortcut is the Python tutorial shortcut. And again, I'm using the component panel. Let's first show what it looks like. So once you click that, it's gonna have a question kind of panel where you can type in text. And this is because we set this component as a string, as a text format. And we're actually able to bind this shortcut into a workflow. So as you can, because in this, as part of the chatbot, we have the workflow you saw earlier, which is able to draw up a Python tutorial based on a user query. And we can bind that workflow to this shortcut by checking this use plugin workflow directly option. And so it's basically going to make sure like every time the user clicks on this button, and then 100% of the time, it's going to use the workflow to answer my question. So sometimes we get questions from our users, such like, sometimes I put a plugin or workflow in the chatbot, but it's not always using that plugin to answer my query, or it's not always using the workflow. Like even though I tell the bot in the prompts, like, please use the plugin to answer a question, it's still not doing that 100% of the time. So one potential solution to that problem is to actually set up a shortcut and then just like bind that shortcut to the workflow. So this will actually ensure like when the user inputs something in the shortcut, like 100% is going to use the workflow to answer the query. And this also applies to plugins as well. So for example, for the LeetCode Daily, it's bound to the LeetCode Daily plugin. So 100% of the time it's going to use that plugin. So yeah, this is shortcuts. And we can go back to our previous interface to look at a few other options. You can also set up triggers. So for example, you want the bot to send you the latest news or like a latest practice question every morning at 9 a.m. You can set up this like scheduled trigger with a specific time zone and a time and a task. And the task can be like the bot or the plugin or workflow. So this allows the bot to initiate conversations on its own at a certain time every day. And this can work on other chat apps, some of the chat apps as well. And you can also set up voices. So for example, you want your chatbot to be able to talk. You can just add a voice, choose a language, select like the voice you like, and then the chatbot will actually kind of use that voice to read out the answer for the user. And if you don't know why your bot is not working, we just added this debug panel where you're able to kind of see the process that. Oh, okay. I guess this is a work in progress. But yeah, one way to debug is just to click on the running process and then see like where it's getting this information from. So once we're done with our chatbot, let's say I'm happy with how it works, I want to publish it. This is where I can click on the publish button, and then you're able to see all the different places you can publish this chatbot. So all the different chat apps like Discord, Telegram, Messenger, Line, Slack, etc. Or as an API or web SDK. So if you're a developer, if you have your own project or product and you want to integrate your chatbot to your product, you can use the bot as API. Or if you have a website, let's say you have a homepage where you want users to be able to interact with a customer service chatbot to answer product questions, you can choose web SDK, and then it will basically allow you to integrate the chatbot into the website as a pop-up. The easiest integrations for the chat apps are Discord and Telegram. So the Telegram is the easiest. It only takes maybe like 30 seconds. Discord maybe takes like 5 minutes. And we can also publish it to the Coze bot store you saw earlier, so other Coze users can see your chatbot. This is a great way to acquire users for your chatbot. And because I have some workflows and knowledge, I'm not going to be able to set it as public configuration, which means like other people will not be able to see my prompt and my setup. However, they can still use the bot. So public configuration just means like open sourcing the chatbot, allowing everyone to see your prompt and backend setup. It doesn't affect if people are actually able to use it or not. So don't worry about setting it as private. Like people can still use your chatbot as usual. And I'm going to walk you through like the process of setting up a chatbot on Discord. So first, like by default, I'm not going to be able to select because I need to configure first. So let's click configuration. And as you can see, it's asking me to import a Discord bot token. So if you don't know what that is, don't worry, just click on this documentation, how to get a Discord bot token. And we have a very detailed step-by-step instruction on how to publish your Coze bot to Discord. So first, I'm going to go to the Discord developer portal and then just click new application. And just create a new bot here. And following the documentation, we just need to enable this like message content intent permission. So go to bot, here message content intent. So I'm gonna enable this, save changes. And then we need to reset the token. So click reset token. So now this token is reset, and then I'm just gonna copy this to my Coze interface and paste it here. So this is how you can obtain your Discord bot token through the developer platform. And now I can check the Discord option. And let's just also check this web SDK and then hit publish. So I've successfully published my chatbot. So let's first see how it looks in Discord. I can click open in Discord. And here you actually need to have permission to add a chatbot to a server. So if you're not an administrator, or if you don't have the permission to add a chatbot to any server you're in, you are not going to be able to add a chatbot. So, but you can still create your own server, and then make yourself the administrator and add it to your own server. So I'm going to add it to my own server. Continue, give it the permissions, authorize. So I have successfully added it to my server, and welcome Python teacher. So let me just try talking to it. Okay, yeah, now it's able to kind of answer to my questions in Discord. So this can be added to your group chats as well, so other users can all interact with the chatbot. So this is very quickly how you can kind of publish your chatbot to Discord. And let's also look at the web SDK. So if you want to actually put it on your website, you can just click installation and copy the code and then put it in your website code. It's really easy. And this is what it looks like in the Coze bot store. So as you can see, we have the nice background image, we have the opening dialogue, the suggested questions, and the kind of configuration we have. And by default, other people are only going to be able to see the model I used, the public plugins, but they're not going to be able to see my private workflow and my knowledge. The other thing we can help users kind of get an idea of what this chatbot can do for them is to add recommended conversation. So this is basically, consider this a demo for other users for what your chatbot can do. So let me just click share recommended conversation, and I can basically select some chat history with the chatbot and then share to recommended conversation. So this will allow anyway, so it's gonna allow the user to be able to see a potential conversation they might have with the bot. So for example, this Apple stock analysis, key insights and trends is a recommended conversation that the developer set up. So I can just take a look at kind of the Apple stock analysis and trends as a demo for their potential bot. And we also have this community section that we recently added where you're actually able to comment and like other people's chatbots. So this is a way where you can collect feedback for your chatbot, or if you iterated on your chatbot and you have some new features you want to release to your users, this is where you can post as well. So once you've published your chatbot, you're going to be able to see it here. And lastly, let me just explain kind of the Coze tokens. So as I mentioned, you can not just publish your chatbot to the chat apps, but also as API. So if you have your own product or service that you want to integrate this chatbot into, you can use these API. But in order to use the API, you will need Coze tokens. And this is the part where it's not free. So if you are building a chatbot for the chat apps, it's free for now, despite the message limit. But if you are using the API, then you need to purchase Coze tokens. And this is what kind of the pricing looks like. So you can basically buy the tokens to use for your APIs here. And then we have all the documentations available if you for the specific instructions. And if you have any questions about using Coze at any point, here is our documentations page where we have very detailed kind of explanations on all the different features, tutorial videos, etc. And actually, one thing I didn't mention, but maybe it's worth mentioning, is our multi-agent mode. So we have a very powerful feature called multi-agent mode where you're actually able to create multiple chatbots that kind of collaborate together to answer your query. So the way you can use that is through clicking on single agent mode and then toggle to multi-agent mode. And this is where you can, have multiple chatbots, kind of each having its own purpose or use case, and each having its own skill sets and prompt. And then you can connect them together just like the workflow so that the bot is able to do multiple things. So think of it as hiring a whole team of like assistants, and each has its own specialization. So the way to use it is very easy. So basically, in the applicable scenario, you can just use like plain English to talk about when this agent should start, like when this agent is useful. For example, if the user wants to find tutorial videos, then it can use this like YouTube agent. And then you can give it a specific prompt, and then you can give it skills. The skills can be anything from plugin to workflow to knowledge. So for example, you want this bot to just like recognize images, then you can give it the GPT-4V skill. And then you can connect these bots together. So I'm not going to go into like super details today because we have like a separate tutorial on our YouTube channel, but just wanted to make you aware that we do have this multi-agent mode for you to play with, all in a no-code way. With that, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Do we have any questions we want to?
How to interact with database? What's the format? How to save the data into database?
Okay, how to interact with the database. Let's go to our bot. So database is one of the memory features that lets you save user data in a structured format. And the way you can use it is by, for example, create a new table. And this is another example, which is like saving notes for reading books. So basically give the table a name, a description. This is a description for the large language model to understand when to use this database. And you can just have different fields. So think of it as like a structured data set where you interact with it through natural language. So a lot of times when people think of database, they think of an Excel sheet. But this is not what it is. It's actually a kind of natural language to SQL interface where you're able to query, retrieve, and write data for a database through just chatting with the bot, right? So if you're thinking about an Excel sheet, you're thinking about knowledge. So in knowledge, this is where you can actually upload like a table for the bot to be able to draw knowledge from to answer a question. Or you might use a Google Sheets plugin. So sometimes you want to write different, for example, the user inputs something and then you want to put it into Google Sheets, then this is where you can use a Google Sheet plugin. That's different from the database in memory. The database in memory is for when you just think of it as a notebook, right? So in this case, is a notebook for my lead code questions, or it might be a notebook for my weight throughout the days, like how my weight is fluctuating, or it might be a notebook for like my notes from meetings or like reading notes from books, right? So think of it as a notebook. And the way you write things into the notebook is through just chatting with the chatbot, writing
You can write a prompt to show how
the
for them to save the data.
writing yeah, and then make sure to also mention this in your prompt. So here I have like save the question blah 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 into the database here. So make sure the large language model knows like when to evoke this database, when to save things into the database. And then the way you can test if it's actually working or not is like, first you can click on the run completed to see, okay, it's actually using the database. And then you can click on memory and database to see if it's actually, saving your information. Any other questions? Okay, if no other, if you have any questions down the road, we have I highly recommend everyone joining the Coze Discord channel. This is where you can find it. So basically in the Coze interface, this is where you can find the links to our official Discord and Telegram channels. We also have our YouTube channel, which has a lot of tutorial videos. So in our Discord channel, you can, our team is there. You can report bugs, ask questions, provide feedback, connect with other builders, etc. So yeah, I hope to see what you guys create. Can't wait to see your creations, and please share them in a Discord as well. And we're very excited for the hackathon. We have a lot of amazing prizes prepared. So. Yeah, happy building. That's all for us today. And then this session was recorded, so I'm gonna post the recording on YouTube as well and share it with you guys afterwards. Thanks for joining.